Welcome back everyone to this Voiceflow tutorial. In the previous video we were successfully able to get the first row of data from our Supabase database, right? So now in this video we will be looking at how to populate this database with more information. We were going through the documentation, and one of the other things that we said we were going to do was to also see how to select these individual columns as well, right? So I think we should do that first. So let's select this, copy, right? We already have these guys set up within our Voiceflow, but this time we'll just take this link and change it to this. So notice that the only thing that changed here was the ID, right? The star represented all, that is, get all the columns, but now we want just the ID, right? So if I run this now, send. Okay, sorry, give me a minute, let me reload this. Okay, now when I hit send again, yep, so you see it returns only the ID. So if I wanted the name, right, I could have just done this, send. Oh, okay, the column does not exist. Let's see. Okay, it's with a small n, not a capital N. So let's change that to, yep, so you see Bali, right? So if we had multiple columns, multiple rows, it would have returned all the various names, right, and all the various IDs in the previous case. So that's how we use this. Now we just scroll down a bit. Now we can you've read all the rows in the previous what's it called, in the previous video. Now yeah, I think we are good. Okay, now let's try this to pick specific columns now, right? So let's do this. So let's copy all this and then bring this down. So we have been able to, get one column, right? But now let's see, can we get multiple columns? So we just do select. The first one was ID. The second one is name. So let's try this, send. Oh, okay. Saying ID does not exist. What's the name of what's my ID like? Oh, it's small I. I use capital I. So let's change that again. Good. So you see it returns the ID and the name. So if you wanted more, you will just put another comma and just add more, right? So that's pretty easy. The next thing now we want to do is that we want to insert rows, right? We want to insert values into our database, right? So what we need to do here, first of all, we need to send a post request this time, and then we'll take this link. Again, avoid the quotation marks. Then come here and let's update this, right? And then post request, right? So you might be wondering, okay, so we have all these links for doing multiple things or doing different things, right? How can we incorporate that into our workflow? You can do that using variables, right? You can set a variable for getting certain types of data, right? And then you can just simply reuse those variables in your API step, right? So the next thing from here is to get the API key and then the authorization. I think we have those already. API key and authorization headers. Now the next thing would be to get the contents type, application JSON, right? So let's come here and say, let's add this. So say content type, this is application, application/json, right? That's that about that. Then the next thing would be, so there's another header here called prefer. So prefer, then return equals minimal. So we can do that. Come here and say, this is if you don't want it to return too much information, like a response, right? So you're just going to say prefer, so return equals minimal. Then you now have your data that you want to send, right? So I'll just get that data now. Okay, so I've grabbed the data now. So we just need to update this body to to raw. Let me reload this. Okay, and then make sure this is in JSON, and then you can paste this here, right? So if you're looking for where I'm getting all this information, it's found, it can be found in the GitHub repo that I've linked to the description box of this video. So yeah, now let's test our API step. Okay, it failed. Okay, let me just figure that out. Okay, so after some investigation, I discovered what the problem is. So if you run this now, it says content type not acceptable, application JSON, right? So that basically indicates, from what I was able to gather, that we need to set an acceptable parameter, right? So come here, so set acceptable or accept, right? Then we say application slash JSON, right? So that's the first thing. But notice that we have two things now showing application JSON. So we can just delete this, right? And now everything should work fine. So if I send this now, so you see it sends 201 OK, right? And because we set prefer to return minimal, it returned nothing. So if we remove this, we should see some information. Oh, okay, still returns nothing. Anyways, the idea is that it works. So let's come over here to our table and let's rerun our query to check what is inside destinations table. So you can see now it has, it has sent in the same, even though it's the same destination, right? But at least we are sure that it is working, right? So okay, so now let's go back to our Voiceflow. Now we can now send multiple. We're sure that we can send one, so now let's try and send multiple. So you can send many rows, and I think it's majorly the same thing, right? It's exactly the same link, the same header, same authorization, same content type. Now we just need to change the type of data. So notice here that the data is just one curly brace, right? But now you have square brackets, then your first curly brace, then a comma, then another curly brace, then square brackets. So you can, if you want more data, you can just put another comma and put more curly braces. So I have all that information ready, so we wouldn't need to be typing anything from scratch, right? So like I said, you can always get the link. So you can always get the data from the GitHub link in the description below. So I just come here and then rerun this, right? So just paste this here and I believe we should be good. Okay, so we can, so let's just hit send. So you can see 200 okay, 201 okay, so meaning that it has run successfully. So now we can come here and run again, so you can see all our information has been populated, right? So one other thing we can do, we can clean this up, right? There are, just a duplication, right? So we can basically, we can do this in two ways. We can either write an SQL query to delete that, and that is something we can easily do on like get ChatGPT to help us do, right? The way you do it on using the API step, right, is to just change the request to a delete request. I don't think we've ever used a delete request before, so we just use the delete request. The link remains the same, but now at the end of the link we just need to add this, right? So so after destinations, then the question mark, we'll just come here and add this. So we say name equals Maui, right? So this is supposed to be a delete request, right? And then we can hit send. So 204 okay, meaning that it has deleted it successfully. Now we can come here to this SQL query and search for all the okay, it just deleted one of the rows. It deleted just one of the rows, so I'm guessing we have to run this multiple times to delete all the other rows. So if we check again, we have 4 rows now. So if we rerun this, we still have 4 rows. Okay. Let me check. Maui, I wrote Maui in small letters. Right, so let's run that again. Okay. Now let's check. Great, so it has deleted all the Maui entries. So now we can just simply re-enter Maui. So that would be post, and then we can basically just edit our information. So we know that Maui is the first piece of data we have, so we can delete every other thing after Maui, right? So just get all that out of the way, and then we can just hit send, right? Then that posts it to the database, and now if we run this again, yep, we have Maui now. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.